A new lawsuit accuses country music star Garth Brooks of sexual assault and battery.
This is her. And that huge stick you carry, Roosevelt. Do many rape victims give pet names to their rape victims, to their rapist's penis? I am going to defend Garth Brooks.
You know you love low places.
I can't stand him. I don't like him. I think his music sucks, and he's phony. And I don't understand the Chris Gaines thing at all. That being said, this man doesn't. Let me say, it doesn't appear this man raped this woman that was front page everywhere. I don't know if he's raped anybody else, but have you seen the follow-up texts that have been presented by Jane Doe, the victim?
As evidence?
Of Garth Brooks as evidence? I'm going to get to this in a second. So we have this contingency holding people hostage, and they cannot be questioned. They are beyond any type of critical examination because, hey, they have tits. And that's not all women. It's just these women in particular. And bitches of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? So you guys can comment below. Garth Brooks. He was sued. Accused of sexual assault, battery. You probably saw this about 2 weeks ago. There was a follow-up that happened kind of this weekend and then came to a crescendo 2 days ago. But for some reason, people aren't covering it. And this is why I believe that false accusations of rape should be punished the exact same as rape.
A new lawsuit accuses country music star Garth Brooks of sexual assault and battery. The anonymous woman who filed the complaint says she worked as a hairstylist and makeup artist for the award-winning singer. Garth Brooks denies the allegations. He calls them extortion.
Yeah. So she worked as a makeup artist, right, for Brooks's, I guess, wife. What she accused him of doing was she went to his hotel room. He came out naked, and she says that he dangled her upside down by the ankles. And this is the position that Gerald had.
Just listen to that. I'm just saying.
She accuses him of dangling her upside down by the ankles and raping
her. Time out.
What part of that is physically impossible?
Okay. Dangling somebody upside down, I would be shocked if Garth Brooks at 62 in the pudgy form that he now manifests could dangle anything upside down.
Yeah, but when he takes his super blue chew serum, he turns into Chris Gaines.
Yeah, but all the blood leaves those muscles and goes somewhere else. That's the whole point of the pill. I don't know if you've seen that priapism, 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's called a win, my friend.
It is. Especially if your doctor is female.
Don't judge a singer by his trucker body. That's what I always say.
Listen, it's like hanging somebody upside down and you're like, oh, that could possibly happen. It's like somebody can do a handstand. How many times is somebody being hanged upside down by their ankles, being raped, saying, here, let me make this easier on your deltoids. I'll put my hands on the ground for you. Wouldn't you be squirming and not putting your hands on the ground? I guarantee you this didn't happen.
That's true. I would imagine that most rape victims pull like the kid move where they just go limp and you can't carry them at all. They're not supporting you like a wrestler where they're getting you over.
That one thing, I was like, that's physically impossible in that scenario.
I also feel the need to point out that it doesn't say that he was dangling her upside down by the ankles while raping her. It says and raping her.
Well, it does.
As a separate thing.
So that's just a form of foreplay.
No.
Yes.
No.
You know what I'm going to do later?
No.
I'm going to Suge Knight you. I'm going to dangle you by your ankles.
You don't walk into court and bury the lead like rape you get to in 3 minutes, but he also dangled me upside down by my ankles and the blood rushed to my head. Oh, and later he raped me. No, that's not.
So
did the same thing happen with Vanilla Ice?
there was the rest of it too.
Shut up. Didn't
Look, you can talk about hypotheticals all day, Gerald, but let's try it.
Kamala doesn't deal in hypotheticals.
It's not possible.
Gerald never dated a gymnast.
That's
wheelbarrow for you.
Thing. That's willing. I'm saying in rape, I'm sure somebody's not putting their hands down. Let me help you with this.
You ever heard of chloroform, Gerald?
She was trying to crawl away.
Yes.
Chloroform would make it worse.
Right.
Gerald knows.
We're getting off track, guys.
I'm right. Chat, you tell me what you think.
But here's the thing. So she was, so rape. I don't like Garth Brooks. People they came out and said, oh, Garth Brooks, the rapist.
Finally.
This is the problem with the court of public opinion. Believe very little of what you read and believe nothing that you read initially, and then very little of what you see and hear, unfortunately. So here's how some things didn't add up. This plaintiff continued working for Brooks after the incident, waited 5 years to file a suit, and there was no police report filed. But she said it's because she needed to make money. Okay, so you were dangled from your ankles, forcibly raped, but your priorities were to continue collecting a check.
When you could have got a huge check.
Right. And here's what we just saw this week. This person, the plaintiff, released text messages saying, this man forced me to sext him. First off, I don't even know how that works.
Yeah, how do you force
someone to sext you? Is it like the old LAN computer games where you're all connected in one room and he's like, say what you want to do to me? I don't understand how you force someone to sext you. I don't imagine that many rapists are forcing sexting. But she presented this evidence, and I had to read this 2 or 3 times to think, oh, this must be what he presented. No, she presented this, where she showed some sex, where she redacted a portion up there and then said, warm fact, this is her, and that huge stick you carry, Roosevelt. And he said, I'll take that nickname. Thank you. I love you. Think about that. Do many rape victims give pet names to their rape victims, to their rapist's penis? Do you typically compliment the rapist's device? And does he respond with, oh, well, thank you. I received that compliment. And I love you? What are you going to tell me the next thing the rapist's going to come in and ask you how you feel about children? If you want to adopt? That alone, I go, oh, okay, nope.
No, that's...
Nope, because at the very least, we've now added a complication where there was not clearly consensual intimate relations. Well, why do you say that? Because you called us Dick Roosevelt.
She's got to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
Well, she's just calling balls and strikes.
I don't know. Well,
yeah, does that happen to any other rapists? Does any other rapist get their member nicknamed by their victim?
Only Eugene Gerald.
Jeffrey Dahmer's victim, they knew him as Pookie. Casey's victims knew him as Giggles. Like, that's just Giggles.
They called Bill Cosby's dick the Puddin' Pop.
Yes, exactly. And of course, this is no surprise to us, but we expect more salacious details to be released on, by the way, the gold standard, Sirius XM Howard's 100.
Radio's bad boy is back on the air.
To me, the opposite of woke is being asleep.
Uncensored, unfiltered, unpredictable.
You said I ate a whole bag of Doritos. Did you work out this morning?
Catch the bad boy of radio weekdays at 7 a.m. Eastern, only on Sirius XM Howard 100, the gold standard.
I am so old. I no longer had ratings. I wasn't funny. What's going on? What really is going on?
Join the bad boy army.
I want to do that now.
No, you don't.
I do want to join the bad boy army.
I want to be a bad boy.
Me too.
Howard Stern did everything disgusting and despicable, yet he never held somebody up by their ankles and forcibly did anything.
I remember that show, actually.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair, Gerald. There are 2 people who could not hold a woman up by their ankles, you and Howard Stern.
Well, he was planning to, but it was the Anna Nicole episode where he made her get on a scale and said, never mind.
No.
It's a real thing that happened.
And this is not new. Like, people just think that Me Too is kind of over. No, Me Too came out so that it could sort of pave the way for a culture where now we live in an era where people are guilty until they can prove their innocence. You have Garth Brooks, can't stand him, but the guy was accused of the worst crimes that you can imagine. And then what we obviously see as vindicating evidence presented by the plaintiff makes page 6.
Well, by the way, we didn't mention this in the story, but Garth had a chance to make this go away for millions of dollars. Yeah. He says, for millions of dollars, I could have made this all go away. And he's like, no, screw that. I'm absolutely not going to say that I did something that I did not do. Now, again, I'm not vouching for every single thing that he did in this, but so far from what we've seen, there's nothing really here. And he chose to go public with this in a way that, to defend himself instead of just paying millions of dollars.
And let me explain something to you. When I say hostage, having been behind the scenes with this, I can tell you, for example, Brian Callen was accused of rape. Right, that when he came on this show and he said, no, it didn't happen. This is exactly what happened. Went through the timeline. There were a lot of high-profile friends who didn't come in to at least even give him a platform to present his side. And the reason why is not because these people are rapists, but because they know that they're imperfect. And so what happens is people remain silent because they go, oof, I don't want my misdeeds, my indiscretions to be made public. In other words, you may not be a rapist, but you may not want to come out and defend someone who you know is not a rapist because someone may have naked pictures of you. Someone may have you sexting someone who maybe you dated at some point and they were in love with you and you were in love with them. They may have a vendetta. You ever had to deal with an ex who was bitter? Well, just imagine that and add billions or millions of dollars into the mix. And so everyone remains quiet. For proof, see what's happening with P. Diddy. Hold on. No one else is coming out and saying, all right, okay, I was involved. Or no one else is coming out and saying, look, he didn't do this. They're saying nothing. Why? because people are afraid of skeletons in their closet. And sometimes they aren't even skeletons. That's the problem now. Skeletons are selective at this point. And so people remain quiet. And so our justice system gets perverted. And it's happened time and time again. I have spoken with people who actually believe some of these. You have people out there who still believe that Clarence Thomas is a rapist, or believe that Clarence Thomas sexually harassed somebody, or believe that Anita Hill was anything other than a liar, right? Remember, Anita Hill accused Clarence Thomas sexual harassment, inappropriate remarks about her body. They said that he was like a porn addict who would go down to this porn shop that didn't exist when he lived in that area of Washington, D.C. There are all kinds of things that didn't add up. And as it turned out, the worst thing that Clarence Thomas did was make a joke about someone's hair on a Diet Coke can, implying that it resembled a pubic hair. Is that worth the public lynching that he went through?
My goodness.
He said, who put their pube on the Diet Coke can? That's it. Remember Brett Kavanaugh? You still have people who believe that Brett Kavanaugh was a gang rapist.
Yep.
Remember Christine Blasey Ford came out? Also Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi supported her. This man was accused of gang raping a woman. And then it turns out that Christine Blasey Ford, her story she gave her therapist didn't match up with the story that was reported, I believe, by the Washington Post at the time. And that didn't match up with the authorities who investigated. And turned out the party didn't happen at a time that she mentioned in a place that couldn't possibly exist. Oh, and we also have a journal that was accurate to the letter from Brett Kavanaugh as to where and when he was engaging in any activities. And it also corroborated his story as it related to the night of the gang rape. But you still have people out there who believe that Brett Kavanaugh is a rapist, because you see the hearings where they asked him if he drank beer on the weekends. And you saw the hearings of Clarence Thomas where they talked about sexual harassment. By the way, hey, I would even go further. Let's say Clarence Thomas said, "Nice rack." Is it inappropriate? Sure. Would it be worthy of being accused of a crime? No. And people are always going through the Rolodex. What have I done that is imperfect? Because that's what they're going to use. They go, well, maybe you didn't rape, but, and then present something that, exists in your private life. This happens all the time. I've seen it. Remember Trevor Bauer? You still have people out there who believe that Trevor Bauer actually choked a woman, beat her, giving her a black eye. Remember that? But then we found out that she didn't have a black eye, and that she actually took a video of herself the morning after said rape, winking at the camera without a black eye, and text saying, "I'm going to take this man for all he's worth, and I'm going to get that bag."
Well.
You have other people. Some people who I can't even... Aziz Ansari, right? I don't know what's happened to him. He's not a rapist. He had a bad date. Matt Ariza, Chris Hardwick, Johnny Depp. If it wasn't more salacious to cover the Johnny Depp follow-up trial, that man went through 7 years, I believe, where people believed he was an abusive drunk. And it turns out that he had a woman who was systematically abusing him and shitting in his bed.
These are 3 men that were stars, too, by the way.
Yeah.
And left-leaning, all 3 of them, I believe.
Right.
Stars.
And you know what the penalty is for these?
And then just gone. Out of our lives.
Yeah. Penalty? Nothing. Nothing whatsoever.
Nothing.
Christine Blasey Ford, you say that thing about Brett Kavanaugh, and it's like, because we've covered all of that, we know that how stupid and ridiculous that is. I engaged with somebody yesterday on X about that. Yesterday! People are still out there about Brett Kavanaugh being a rapist after 9 FBI background checks, an extended investigation. It's like, you just can't win. Once it's out there, you're that guy forever. He has a family.
Right.
He has people in his circle that now look at him. Like, we always minimize that. We're like, oh, he's still a Supreme Court. He has kids who go to school and say, your daddy's a rapist.
Yeah.
And other kids aren't allowed to go to sleepovers at his house.
Right.
Yeah. Dad's like, well, it's on the news that your friend's dad's a rapist.
And the leftist...
I don't want him near the football games either.
Right. Yeah, and the leftist worldview, it has to implode, because they've gone, well, hold on a second, maybe it wasn't rape. But hold on a second, maybe it wasn't sexual harassment. But it technically is rape, actually, and I support all of my sisters, because that man was in a position of authority, and even though she was sexting him and she was actually throwing herself at him, he is technically a rapist because he was her superior. But I'm also pro-sex work. Oh, and most pornography directors and producers are men. Was that not a disparity of power? It can never be consistent. The only thing that is consistent about the left today is subverting systems that have created the Western civilization that you enjoy. Innocent until proven guilty, our justice system. They don't want that. The idea that family is important, that you will find happiness not in material things, but in life. Life, love, liberty, pursuit of happiness, families, children. No, we want you to be able to abort on demand. And we want you to be pro-pornography, pro-drug. Hey, you should probably live a life that's disciplined. You should probably live a life with routine, with structure. You should probably be someone who is virtuous, not because you want to go out there on social media and virtue signal, but because it's good for your own soul. You don't see the left advocating for these virtuous principles in the quiet time. In the quiet time, when no one's looking, it's, porn, drugs, abortion, infidelity, orgies, as we see. And here's the crazy thing. The only place where you actually see this rape culture, the only place where you see this kind of degeneracy is the place that is saying it's the rest of the country's fault. Let me ask you this. Do you think you're going to see orgies, rape, sex parties, and porn shoots in Oklahoma, in the suburbs of Oklahoma or Texas or Kansas, or Hollywood, D.C., and New York? And these are the people who want to shape the entire country in this graven image that they have erected. And this graven image just involves more sacrifice at the altar of self. Let's distill this down to where we are. When people say you got to be careful as a man, you don't want to risk offending people. I'm done tiptoeing around, and I think we should be done tiptoeing around people who are sacrificing babies at the altar of self. I'm not talking about women who think that choice is an issue to vote on. I'm not talking about women who don't understand what abortion is. I'm not talking about those people who've been fooled, unfortunately, and it's our job to educate them. I'm talking about the party platform and the industries that say abortion up until 9 months, including birth, period, and then enshrine it into law and fight it with all of their wealth, their ill-gotten gain, in Melinda Gates' case, billions of dollars to ensure that that is the kind of country we have. Oh, and by the way, only you men out there are going to be forced into the draft to protect the country, but you have no say in the kind of country that it is you will exclusively be forced to protect. This doesn't end well, and that's what's at stake in this election. And that's why we're gearing up for the election live stream of the century, November 5th, 2024, being able to call states, the live electoral integrity map, where you can actually see what is going on in real time, so that this doesn't happen in darkness. Lie, cheat. Lie, cheat. That's what we see from the left. And by the way, it's exactly what you will see with this same road with pornography. You will see with drugs, right? Lie. Say, no, it's actually, if you look at Portugal, it's working out great. Legalizing drugs actually saves the government money. We generate tax revenue. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, actually. There's no addiction problem. There are actually no ill side effects. By the way, I think there are some medicinal uses, for example, cannabis, in very limited circumstances. I'm not anti-cannabis. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about telling people in a blanket statement that we should create a culture of drugs, of porn, and of silence out of fear from guilt that's being thrust upon you by the court of public opinion. That's the culture that one party has as their view of the ideal for this country. Let's be really clear about that. The culture is porn, drugs, abortion, sex work, and I stand with people who make accusations regardless of any evidence presented. And you know what that does? That destroys lives. It destroys families. And frankly, it destroys people's sense of right and wrong, a moral compass. Let's take a microcosm of that. COVID. Lie, cheat. We've seen that. That's why COVID is so effective. We saw it in real time. We saw one group of people saying, hey, hold on a second. We don't believe that 2 million people are going to die in these next couple of months. And we don't believe that we should be shutting down the economy. We actually believe that will have negative consequences, really, for an entire generation to come. You had one group of people, everyone in this room, saying, hold on a second, if you don't let kids go to school, and if you fearmonger, they have to wear masks and they can't interact with human beings, you are going to see a mental health crisis. You are going to see substance abuse. You're going to see businesses close. You're going to see this country struggle. And then you had one other party say, nope, all of this has to be done through mandate. And trust me, this is good for you. Until they realize, you know what? None of that was true. So lie, cheat. What's the cheat there? Remove anyone who points it out. Lie, cheat. Absolutely, no doubt, wet market. China's on the up and up. They're giving us the true story. If you say lab leak theory, you will be removed. Then, okay, since we found out it's at least a 50-50 shot, let's just memory hole it. No, absolutely. mRNA has been tested extensively in humans. There are no anytime someone says there are no ill effects or side effects to anything on earth, they're lying to you. They're lying to you. You can't even say that about pizza. I mean, there's everything on earth has pros and cons. And you try and use your judgment to say, okay, does this have more pros than cons? Right? That's why we create pro and con lists. Anyone who tells you this is all pro, there are no cons, they're lying to you. And then when you have to deal with the actual consequences, they're just going to cheat and erase the whole board, pull an Etch-a-Sketch on that. And that's not what we do here. And that's why Garth Brooks, hey, can't stand the guy. I think your music sucks. I think your fake persona, Chris Gaines, was dumb. I think everything about it is disingenuous. But you know what, Mr. Brooks, I don't think you're a rapist. And largely because of the evidence that was presented by the rape victim. Let's continue Chat Thursday on Mug Club. But I have another rape story. Hey, if you enjoyed watching this video, you probably enjoy watching the show. It's live, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you want that to continue, if you slap like or slap the comment button down there, I'll slap Gerald. Wait, if you don't slap it, I'll slap. Either way, I'm going to slap Gerald.